big moves, who is starting, who's
Over the
injured,
time
what does it all
in
add
5.
up to? It's time for Around the NFL on Ermanni and Edwards with Maz.
All right, guys, 9 days. 9 days.
9
It's the NFL Draft
days.
live from Green Bay's Lambeau Field parking lot. The parking lot at Lambeau Field. Can't wait, man. And I can't believe it's been a year already for us here in Detroit. Almost a year. It would have been next week. Would have been a year. Actually, it is next week. So that's what I meant. It'll be a year, man. 1 million people almost.
1 million.
Downtown in Detroit. That was fun as anything. So the Lions right now on the clock. They have, let's see how many picks the Lions have. They have pick number 28, 60, 102, 130, 196, 228, and 244. So they've got themselves 7 draft picks. You know it's a favorite day, of course, for Brad Holmes and company. So that takes us to one of the guys that is in this draft. He'll be in the green room. One of the first names to be called. It's Travis Hunter from Colorado. A super kid that could play corner, wide receiver, pretty much any position you want except offensive and defensive line. He says he'd rather not play football than play for a team that could tell him that he could only play one position. Braylon.
He's a special talent. You know, we've seen that over these past 2 years at the University of Colorado. He's extremely gifted as it relates to speed, agility, athleticism. He's a sweet kid. He's a sweetheart. He's a good player. Like he's the guy that you want on his team. Now, as it relates to his talent, Shohei pitched and hit. Now, I'm not saying he's as crazy as Shohei, but when have we ever seen a player with these skills? And Charles Woodson is one of my friends, and the reason I went to Michigan. Charles wasn't like Travis Hunter in that regard. So I think you allow him to play both. I think we're in an era of time where he has the ability to play both. You put him in situations. And Anson yesterday, Scott Bischoff, he came on the show and he was telling us most people that he heard say they play him at DB and they say make maybe 15-play package for him each game. I thought that was smart. Only issue I have, and I know there's some guys in the league that play DB that are smaller, Meek Robinson notably. Travis Hunter's not – he just did not strike me as a guy that's tackling in the NFL. Like, what does Travis Hunter do with some of these running backs? The running back has become a prominent position yet again. It's getting bigger yet again. What is he doing with Saquon Barkley? What is he doing? What's he doing with Derrick Henry? What is he doing with number 5, who plays at Ford Field, and Dave Montgomery? Like, I thought he would be a receiver and be some packages on defense. I think that's why we're playing. But where are you on him playing both? I think you definitely should have him play both positions. He's that talented. You get a 2-for-1 when you draft him. You draft him as a 2-for-1. He wants to play 2-for-1 and has the skills. I remember back in the day they tried to make Ted Ginn a wide receiver and a DB. He was not that. He was a wide receiver. Devin Hester got drafted. Chicago Bears tried to put him at DB. Then they tried to put him in wide receiver. He was a kick returner.
Yeah.
This kid actually does both.
This isn't Bubba Chandler coming up in the minors, being able to do both things, pitch and hit, all right? This is a situation where the guy is great at both. Bubba Chandler and a lot of these other guys, not Shohei, they said, listen, you can't do both. You have to do one, and that's it. When you look at what Travis has been able to do, I just don't understand how you can draft this kid as high as you have to draft him and not utilize him on both sides of the ball. To me, I think that I get deep into the fantasy side of drafting offensive players. Some of the guys I really follow like him as one of the best wide receiving prospects in the last 10 years. As a corner, he's tremendous as well. I think you're doing yourself a disservice by bringing this kid in and saying you can only do one thing. Because not only are you missing out on that other stuff that he can do, those other skills, but you're going to frustrate him. This is a guy that has given his whole career to be great on both sides of the ball. And then you add in the other, TMZ type of, drama that he has going on in his life with his girlfriend or ex-girlfriend. I don't know where they're at right now. There's quite a few things around this kid that could make him fail, even though, to me, he's kind of the Brock Bowers of this draft, where he's just truly heads and tails the most skilled guy out there. But he's probably going to get drafted somewhere, and he's only going to be able to play one side of the ball, and I think it's a crime. I think that in the future of the NFL, I want to see more two-way players.
I'll only give you pushback on one thing. I don't think he's one of the top 10 wide receivers over the past 10.
I know you've said that.
Yeah, 100%. Like, you look at the class last year, there are 3 guys that are head and shoulders above him in the class last year, Marvin Harrison, Malik Neighbors, and BT Jr. But to your point, you have to play him at both because he's not good at one position enough to deserve a number 2 or 3 overall pick. If he was just a wide receiver, I would not take him in the top.
Yep.
I wouldn't take him in the top 12.
First rounder.
Like, yes, he would be somewhere around 20 for me if I'm being 100% honest.
Who's going to take him?
And if he's...
Where would he be best?
Well,
what team would be best?
Okay, give me a second. If you just take him as a DB, I'm not drafting him in the top 4 rounds at DB. So you combine those, and he's worth the number 3 pick overall. If you just do one, you're not going to get your money's worth. Now, what fits him best?
What team fits him best? And yeah,
I think I think the Patriots.
Pats at 4.
I think the Pats, Giants, you just don't know what they're going to be. I would never send anybody to Cleveland knowingly. With the Patriots, you get Mike Vrabel. Mike Vrabel is a defensive, I won't say guru. People use that word too much. He's a savant. He was coached by a savant. He can make the best use of Travis Hunter on the defensive side of the ball, put him in the best situations to not hurt himself or to have success. And then on offense, you can learn from a guy in Stephon Diggs. Say what you want to about Stephon Diggs off the field or his mental and how he doesn't like Josh Allen and who doesn't like him. He is a dynamic wide receiver who knows how to run routes, a body type like Travis Hunter once he gains a couple pounds or so. He will be the prototypical receiver to help him achieve that greatness. So I like that. I like Vrabel defensively, and I like Stephon Diggs on the offensive side to help him out.
Good call.
And as a former player, I think that Vrabel would be more likely to use him on both sides of the ball versus a guy that's never set
Because he played on both sides of the ball. Think about that.
That's right.
Only in the red zone, but he was 11 for 11.
Played that tight end position.
Yeah, so I like that. P, where are you with that? I'm going to get you in on this.
You know what? I was doing some work. So,
Okay.
so
So
I,
let's then.
yeah, so I appreciate you.
All right, let's move on down to a guy that, well, he wants back in on the NFL, and for some reason, he has not signed yet. And we're talking about Aaron Rodgers. So Aaron Rodgers has spoken, and he has said the deal he gave, the idea he had to the Minnesota Vikings was, let me come in for one shot at a championship, and I will do my best to coach up J.J. McCarthy. But the Vikings, up till now, have said no thank you. They have not said JJ's the guy yet. Spring ball's coming. You know it. Off-season workouts are starting next week. So we're going to find out about it. So do you think there's a chance yet that Aaron Rodgers winds up with the Purple People Eaters?
No, I'm going to stand firm on what I've said in the past. No, I would not bring Aaron Rodgers in to blow up my organization, my franchise. Now, if Aaron Rodgers operate at kind of how he operated at the end of last season and everything goes right, the if game, and then yeah, you can have success and it could work. There could be something there. He's one of the best quarterbacks of all time. We saw him find a little bit of that rhythm last year. This will be another year after, 2 years from the Achilles injury. With that being said, it's just not worth it for me. I think right now what Aaron is doing, he's waiting to see who drafts who in the draft. Do the Pittsburgh Steelers move up and take a quarterback? Are some of the options that looks, I think that's what he's waiting on. What do the Raiders do? These are things he's looking at, and then he likes being the name. He likes being the story to continue past draft weekend leading into Monday. So who's drafting? You saw what happened last year with the Falcons.
I think the mirror image of him going to the Vikings the same way that Brett Favre did is really what drives a lot of this.
Brett went to the Jets too. So,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exact
That's
mirror
right.
image. My thing is I've told you many times, J.J. McCarthy is better than Caleb Williams, the catfish. It's a guy that needs to be on the field. And I know that we've seen success with Aaron Rodgers sitting and with Jordan Love sitting. It's time for J.J. And there's no reason to bring this guy in here and hope that he's the mentor that you're signing him to be because he says that he'll be that. The guy's not even practicing right now. If anything, he should be linked up with some wide receivers, but we already know that he's not going to do that.
He was linked
He's
up
got
with
his
DK
own
Metcalf.
offseason program, and it happens
Answer.
down in Peru.
He was practicing with Metcalf last week.
He did.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
Okay, well then, hey, he's growing a little bit, but for me, I would put nothing in the way of J.J. McCarthy's development, period. I think he's one of the best young quarterbacks that came out last year. I'd put him at 2, even though Bo Nix looks like he's number 2. Get J.J. the ball, and that's a Spartan saying.
Right.
I think I think the one thing that has played in this situation in his favor is the fact that when Jordan Love was asked and when Matt LaFleur was asked about Aaron Rodgers, what we perceived to be the case was not the case. Aaron Rodgers wasn't like Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers was a much better representation of a veteran quarterback. He watched film, he did the things. So there is that in there. And I think Minnesota may know about that, so they're like, hey, look, I don't think they're pondering, but if they did, a little bit of that is true. He did help Jordan Love. You see where Jordan Love was able to get to when he left. That doesn't happen if he's just sitting watching somebody that's not talking, that's not working. He worked with him for 4 years. Jordan Love lit it up first year towards the end, though.
Pittsburgh is, I really believe they should take a quarterback. I'm not sure if the one they want will be there when they pick at 21, but they should be in the market for a quarterback. They have Mason Rudolph right now. He's just a journeyman backup quarterback. So if they sign a young kid and Aaron Rodgers comes in for a year or two, I think it's good. I think it's win-win for Pittsburgh.
Yeah, no, I agree with you there. I think Aaron Rodgers, I think Pittsburgh is the move, the Minnesota move. I just think it's just going to be interesting because you're going to have two personalities in DK Metcalf and George Pickens. Like it's going to be an interesting situation. The thing about the quarterback position, though, from these teams, and we're seeing, and we talked to Scott Bishop about it, is you're getting these quarterbacks like Jackson Dart, who you don't really believe in. You're just trying to move them up because there's no quarterback. Shedeur Sanders, let's say you don't believe in them, and you're drafting them to teams that are just bad and behind the eight ball that don't have a chance in hell at winning. That's the problem right now in the NFL.
Who's the Ohio State guy? Will?
Johnson. No. Howard. Quarterback.
Yeah.
It's Howard.
Will Howard.
Yeah, Will Howard.
He's moving up the freaking charts.
And we know what he is.
He's moving up.
And we know what he is.
The Steelers could go and grab a guy like him because, let's face it, a few years ago they took Kenny Pickett because they were desperate.
But that didn't work.
True, but at what point, if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, do you just say, like, look, like, I guess what they have done, stay on those growers. Like, you knew Kenny Pickett wasn't the guy.
Right.
And you know, the Jackson Dart's not the guy.
Right.
Like, at what point do you say, look,
Jackson
Look at
Dart is the
Anthony
guy.
Richardson.
Jackson Dart's the guy.
Jackson Dart is a guy that play at Ole Miss. Like, you look at his big games against the big teams. He runs the style of football where he just get it in shotgun. That don't work in the NFL.
I think people are going to be surprised by him, but I
Like a
think it comes
707
down to the
quarterback.
franchise. The Jets, their franchise isn't strong enough right now to handle an Aaron Rodgers. I know the Steelers haven't won a championship in a long time, but they're 19 straight playoff berths with one of the most grounded franchises in the NFL. If there's anybody that can bring in a personality like Aaron Rodgers and make it work, it's Mike Tomlin and the Steelers organization.
What type of team is New York as it relates to what is their strength, offense or defense?
I would say defense.
Okay, what type of strength is the Pittsburgh Steelers?
Defense.
How did New York Jets work out for Aaron Rodgers?
Well, but the Jets, I just don't see their I don't see Woody and the
They're
rest
not
of the
in the
guys
same league as
below
the
him.
Steelers, he said.
They just don't. They
I
don't run as
understand that.
professionally.
I'm not talking about the front office. I'm talking about on the field. Like, defense is the identity. Defense is the coach. Defense. Same with the Jets. Same with the Steelers. Aaron Rodgers comes from Green Bay. Everything is offense. Everything is predicated on the success of offense. There's, what was his coordinator? Hackett. The coordinator. There's Matt LaFleur. There was not Mike Holmgren, but McCarthy. Offensive system. He had success. They catered to him. It's a defensive team. Like, what is he?
No, I get where you're on that, but I mean, I just don't think that there's a lot of franchises right now that are strong enough to thrive with an Aaron Rodgers personality.
There you go. So what should he really do?
Retire. No, I mean, I like Aaron Rodgers' story still in the league, and I would like to see him get one more chance with the team. Like, everybody says, him with the Jets, and they're an AFC finalist. Him with the Steelers, I can buy them being an AFC finalist. I want to see him go to a team with his last year, final year of his career effort, with a team that is insulated enough, that understands what he's bringing to the table and cannot infight to a nice playoff run.
Speaking of infighting, just watch the first time they have a game and DK Metcalf goes over 200, and now George Pickens is damn, he already made $35 million, and they throw him the ball. I can't get the ball.
He'll walk off the field.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Unless they win.
AJ,
He'll walk off the
Unless
field.
they
They've
win.
been winning
Part
his whole
two.
career.
Hey, I got
9-10 games.
I got Jalen Ramsey's story for you, but first we're going to hear